Legacy, Rise of the Arkadians, written by Gary Thorpe Jr. Prelude. You can sense it, can't you? Dinah asked her son Ethan. Danger approaches this planet, and there's nothing you can do to stop it now. For a while, those words haunted me, Ethan thought to himself, knowing that danger was upon them. But what I didn't know was how severe the danger was. What did it all mean? So many unanswered questions about who we are, where we come from, and most importantly, what lies ahead for us. So many things raced through my mind at that moment. What did all of it mean? Was he even telling me the truth? I don't remember much about my father. He died when we were very young. Our mother didn't talk about him much, but you could tell it was always something on her mind. Sometimes when we were younger, I would catch her at night staring up into space with a worried look on her face, like she knew something was out there, that something was coming. The time we live in now is much different from how things were just a few short years ago. The history of Earth contained many countries, nations, and kingdoms that were constantly warring against each other. The last great war of this planet left it in near ruins. Millions of people lost their lives. Thousands lost homes, and children lost parents, leaving most of them living on the streets to fend for themselves. From all of that chaos arose change. 4 of the 6 world powers came together to form a world alliance. Their goal was to change the world for the better, to make sure that war on such a grand scale would disappear from the planet for good. The alliance central government resided in the city of Zandari, which was built to represent a new beginning. The other 2 world powers, the nation of Paltamora and the kingdom of Dranea, live in relative peace with the alliance. These 2 powers remain separate from the alliance, but are working towards a peace treaty that could wipe war from the face of the planet. Everyone now enjoys a measure of peace. But just like with everything, peace can only last but for so long. Our story started about a year ago now. Everything we've done up to this point has led to this moment. It was our first day at Delta Academy, a world-famous school for gifted individuals. Our mother worked at the academy as a counselor. From a young age, she started training us. She saw we had a strong desire for it. Every chance we got, we would learn what we could from watching her. We all caught on fast to the basics, but we excelled in different areas. My sister Naomi had some unique abilities. She resembled our mother a lot. She had shoulder-length dark black hair and purple eyes. She wears a fuchsia shirt that adds some vibrant color to the rest of her dark attire, with tight black pants and gray and black sneakers. She was beautiful in appearance, and among the 3 of us, she was best at sensing power levels, a great instinct to have for any approaching dangers. She also knew how to use a cloaking technique. It was perfect for her because she is more of a long-range fighter. She fights well from a distance, wanting to see everything, analyze what advantages and disadvantages she might have. She was great at controlling her energy as well, using it with precision to get the job done quickly. She possesses a fierce determination and an unyielding spirit. Her demeanor is often serious, reflecting a maturity beyond her years. She deals with some trauma because of something that happened to her at this school last year. She doesn't talk about it at all, and she manages to cope and push through difficulties of remembering it. Beneath her tough exterior, she has a deep sense of empathy, especially for those who struggle with trauma. She was the strongest of us, and in my eyes, the most gifted. My twin brother Aiden had great talent as well. Aiden had dark black hair just like Naomi's, only it was a little longer. He had brown eyes just like me. He wore a blue sleeveless hoodie, identical to mine's, except his was blue and mine's was green. When it comes to his abilities, he has raw physical power. He always had the problem of acting before fully thinking things through. He had little intolerance for delays or obstacles, and he was always eager to get things done quickly and efficiently. He could be a little hot-tempered at times and easily provoked. His fiery nature often led to arguments and confrontations with others. This was always a topic of discussion between him and Naomi. These talks would always help him cool down. Aiden always had a strong belief in his abilities and wasn't afraid to show it though. His confidence was inspiring to me, but sometimes it came off as arrogance, which really got on my nerves. But one thing about Aiden is that he could be protective of those he cared about, especially when it came to me and Naomi. He would never hesitate to stand up for us, no matter what. Me, on the other hand, I didn't really think I stood out at all. I was well balanced, but didn't bring anything individually to the table like the others. If anything, I could take a beating and still push forward. The one thing that made me different from the others was my bleach white hair, with which I was born, and it made me stand out in the crowd. Naomi was a year older than us, so it was her second year at the academy. That first day at the academy is where everything started, and it's where our story truly begins. Delta Academy, Part 1. "Come on, you two, keep up," yelled Naomi as they walked down the streets of Lytrium City toward the academy. "I don't want to be late on the first day of the new semester." The twins stopped and took a selfie to remember their first day at Delta Academy. Yeah, don't get so excited. We have plenty of time," replied Ethan as he ran to catch up. "What's the big rush?" asked Aiden. "There's a lot that takes place on the first day," Naomi explained. "Let me try and explain the function of this academy, so do pay attention. There are two ways a student can be ranked at Delta, either by the number of years they attended the school or by the abilities they possess. The ranking system is C through A. First and second years will automatically be given a classification as C rank students. Third and fourth years are classified as B rank. Fifth years and up are classified as A rank. As I mentioned, there have been rare occasions when a first year can get a higher classification, depending on his skill and ability. Now, the first day of school is when all assignments are given. They rate you on performance in the classroom. There are a series of qualifying exams you'll have to take. They'll also test your physical abilities, strength, speed, intellect, etc. If you have a special skill or unique ability like a fighting style, that's when you want to show it. Doing so will help your overall score. The top 10 students with the highest scores will have the opportunity to compete in rounds of preliminary matches against each other to determine who the captains for our class will be. These competitions are only for the first and second year students. Many of the upperclassmen will be there watching the matches to check on future competition. "Seems like a lot for the first day," said Aiden. "It is," she replied. "This is how the academy's system is organized." 2 years classified as a C-rank student? Asked Ethan. "That seems pretty lame." "Well, that's the way it is, so get used to it," Naomi replied. The C and B ranks are allowed to have 3 captains each, and the A rank can have up to 6. "Why so many?" Aiden asked. "The A rank is always the biggest class," she explained, "so it's more people to oversee. Anyway, the captains selected serve as leaders in a governing body for the entire school. Even though the school has an administration, directors, counselors, teachers, and other staff, they really don't have any power or control in how the student governs themselves. The Alliance and other world nations that fund this school wanted this system in place to help prepare the young men and women who come out of this academy to be better equipped to step into leadership roles in government, military, or the corporate world. So the captains chosen to lead are considered the best this academy has to offer, and they have the responsibility of building a student body that serves as officers, which help maintain order among theirs and the other ranks." "How many officers can they have?" Aiden asked. "I'm not even sure," Naomi replied. "I heard that each captain could have up to 5 officers serving under them. So you do the math." Ethan quickly thought about it in his head for a moment, using his fingers to add it all up. "So 30 officers," Ethan said confidently. "Good job," Naomi replied sarcastically. "Wow, you know a lot about what's going on around here. And everything you mentioned with the testing, all of that is supposed to take place today?" asked Ethan. "Yes," she replied. "Good," Aiden added. "It'll be nice to establish myself early as the top first-year student." "Be careful what you ask for," said Naomi. "I thought the same thing when I started last year. There's a lot of talent here, so stay on your toes. A lot of the times you find students trying to prove themselves by picking random fights during school hours." "Wow," said Ethan. "It's that intense here, huh?" "You have no idea," she replied. You'll find that being here will test you like anything before. Can't wait, said Aiden. Chapter 2. When they finally arrived at the school, Ethan and Aiden marveled at the academy's size. The school campus sprawls over a vast area, its size and complexity reminiscent of a small city. The campus is divided into 3 main sectors for the C, B, and A ranks, referred to as territories. These territories are distinct in their architecture and atmosphere, reflecting the different levels of students who inhabit them. At the heart of the campus lies the business district, nicknamed by the students the district. It's a bustling hub of activity with towering high-rise buildings that dominate the skyline. This area is a microcosm of a modern city, complete with various businesses, shops, and services. Students and faculty alike frequent the district for its numerous eateries, cafes, and restaurants that line the streets. The business district is also a center for leisure and entertainment, with a plethora of activities designed to help everyone to relax and have fun. Parks and green spaces are interspersed among the buildings, providing serene spots for relaxation and social gatherings. There was never a dull moment in the district. Beyond the district, the rest of the campus is dedicated to academics and specialized training. Training gyms, equipped with state-of-the-art facilities, cater to both physical fitness and specialized training programs run by each of the ranks. The administration building stands as a monumental structure on campus, reflecting both its importance and the efficiency of its operations. The building is a large square edifice, characterized by its modern architectural design and professional appearance. The classroom buildings are strategically distributed across the campus, ensuring easy access from all territories. These buildings vary in size and design, but share a common architectural theme that blends modernity with functionality. Near most of the classroom buildings, you'll find libraries with an extensive collection of books, digital resources, and study spaces. Student housing on the campus is divided into several residential buildings, each offering a range of accommodations to suit different preferences and needs. These buildings are designed to create a comfortable and engaging living environment. The warehouse district, situated at the periphery of the campus, houses essential supplies and equipment. It is a hive of logistical activity, ensuring that the campus is well stocked and everything is in place for the daily needs of students and staff. At the very center of the campus stands a large arena, a focal point for major events and gatherings. This impressive structure hosts a variety of activities, competitions like none other on campus. The arena's grandeur and versatility make it a key feature of campus life. Even though Lytrium City is vast in itself and was built next to the campus, Delta Academy was like anything they had ever seen before. When they reached the C-rank territory, there was a lot of activity going on. Registration, ranking, photo ID, class scheduling, most of the things you would see at a regular school. Aiden and Ethan had to go through their first year orientation, where they met most of the trainers and counselors who would be working with them during the year. I didn't expect to see so many students here, Ethan said to Aiden as they sat in the seats a few rows back from the front of the auditorium. There's got to be at least 300 people in here. Not everyone here will be in the fighting division, Aiden explained. What do you mean? Ethan asked. You idiot, Aiden replied. Didn't you read the orientation booklet we received over the summer? I thought about reading it, but it looked like it would have taken forever to finish, replied Ethan as he slouched in his chair. It explained that last year the academy expanded into different fields, such as military, medical, and science and technology, Aiden explained. The academy is quickly becoming the #1 institute of higher learning. Anyone looking to have a prestigious career with the Alliance will come here. Now do you understand? Yeah, science and other stuff, Ethan replied with a wave of his hand. So who do you think is the strongest fighter here? We have to scout out the competition. Do you ever think about anything else? Asked Aiden. While Ethan and Aiden continued to converse, Dylan Fortin and Emily Graham, who served as the counselors for the first year class, stood on the stage talking to each other as they waited until it was time to start the orientation. Emily had long flowing blue hair that complements her blue eyes. She wore reading glasses with a blue dress and light gray blazer that added to her professional look. Emily was chosen at the last minute to join the team of counselors that would work with the C rank this year. Her warm and nurturing demeanor was something that stood out to her superiors. She was someone who would listen and offer support, someone that was approachable. These traits would be needed, especially in assisting the first-year students. She could also be strict when needed, giving discipline to help and create a conducive learning environment. She had a natural ability to inspire and motivate others, and her insightfulness would help guide her students toward personal and academic growth. Dylan was a former military man. He had short brown hair and yellow eyes. He has a very toned, muscular build. He wore a brown flight jacket, something he got from his time serving in the military. He wore a white muscle shirt under the jacket with blue jeans. Compared to many other staff members, Dylan liked to keep his dress casual. He approached his job and his responsibilities with a grave sense of duty. He was always very serious, and that demeanor ensured that the students and his colleagues took him seriously. The high standards he lived by are what he expected from others. He believes in discipline and structure, enforcing rules rigorously to maintain order, and he was always looking for someone to make an example out of. Man, it looks like these classes are getting bigger and bigger every year, said Dylan as they both looked out over the crowd of students. You shouldn't be surprised, said Emily, knowing that we've expanded into different divisions and all. Yeah, don't remind me, he replied. To have to put up with these little punks who aren't fighters is going to drive me crazy this year. Maybe you just need to find a better way of dealing with them, she replied. Yelling and threatening to put your foot up someone's backside isn't always a healthy approach. Oh, please, he replied. A little toughening up never hurt anyone. Besides, it will help prepare them for the real world. You have to remember that not everyone is going off to battle, she replied. Oh, yes, they will, he said. Some battles just may be different than others. To be honest, I'm just waiting for someone to step out of line first. I'm itching to make an example out of someone on the first day, he said as he glanced over the crowd again. Dylan's gaze fell upon Ethan, who stood out amongst the rest of the students with his white hair. Like that kid, Dylan said as he pointed Ethan out in the crowd. Look at his hair. That's against school policy, isn't it? Perhaps, she replied. I'm not really sure. That's all I needed to hear, he replied, quickly cutting her off. Looks like I got some action. Dylan jumped off the stage and hurried over to where Ethan was seated, pushing and shoving students out of the way while doing so. He did this mostly for effect so that he could get everyone's attention. You kid, Dylan said sharply as he stood in front of Ethan, who was sitting on the aisle seat. What do you think this is, a circus? Here we go, Emily said in exasperation. That hair color is strictly against school policy, explained Dylan. What excuse do you have for coming here today and blatantly ignoring the rules and disrespecting the traditions that we hold dear to us? My hair, Ethan replied, slightly confused. Well, he struggled for the words as everyone's attention was focused on him. I told you to read the book, Aiden said in an annoyed tone. Didn't you hear me? Asked Dylan. Come on, bleached head, spit it out, he said firmly as he grabbed Ethan by the front of his hoodie and lifted him up out of his chair, trying to intimidate the rest of the crowd. Come on, let's hear it already. What's your excuse? Suddenly, a woman appeared next to Dylan and put her hand on his arm to reprimand him from further intimidating Ethan. She had long brown hair and black eyes, wore simple, all-black attire. But the long white jacket she wore over her clothing was a big indicator of who she was. The name tag embroidered on the right side of the jacket read Director. There was a big emblem of the academy on the back of the jacket as well. Dylan looked at her and quickly released Ethan. Dylan, that's quite enough, said Helena in a calm voice. Madam Director, he replied as he stood at attention. Sorry, I was just trying to... You were just trying to intimidate the new students, counselor, she said in a cheerful voice. I know your tactics all too well. Let's not give this class such a hard time, she said as she walked toward the stage. Yes, ma'am, he replied, then turned to Ethan. Consider yourself lucky, kid, he said to Ethan and then turned to follow behind Helena. What was that all about? Ethan asked as he sat back down and straightened his hoodie. Don't ask me, Aiden replied. Who was that lady anyway? Asked Ethan. Did you notice how fast she got over to us? I don't think anyone noticed, Aiden replied. Her speed is tremendous, though. I'd expect nothing less from a director of this academy. Director? Ethan replied curiously. What's that? Do you know anything? Aiden replied in exasperation. The directors oversee the school. There are 3 directors total, and each one oversees one of the 3 ranks. This lady here will be our director. Maybe next time you'll read the book like I told you. Why would I do that when I have you here to keep me caught up? Ethan replied sarcastically. Not anymore, he replied. From here on out, you're on your own. May I have everyone's attention, please? Helena said in a loud tone from the stage. My name is Helena Baker. I am the director of the C rank, and on behalf of the rest of the class, I would like to welcome all of you to Delta Academy. Helena continued with the orientation and went into detail about the rules of the academy, what was expected of students, how much of a privilege it was to be attending this school, and how first years had to demonstrate the type of drive and dedication to show that they wanted to be a part of this institute. Man, this orientation feels like it's taken forever, Ethan said in a low tone. Every time I think it's over, someone else comes up to the podium to speak. Stop complaining, Aiden replied. I have to deal with it too. I'd much rather know when the competition starts, Ethan said as he slumped down in his chair. Chapter 3. When the orientation had finally finished, everyone was ordered to head straight for the training facility. Each class had its own personal training facility. Ethan and Aiden quickly caught up with Naomi, who was waiting for them, and they all entered the facility together. The facility had a large open arena-style setup where most of the activity took place. There was bleacher seating on both sides of the room. The upper levels had suites that upperclassmen used to watch the preliminaries. When they entered, they noticed most of the students standing in groups, talking amongst themselves, while others stood alone, trying to stay focused for the qualifying rounds. All the students who were attending Delta Academy for the new programs filled the bleachers to watch the qualifying rounds. This is it, boys, said Naomi. What do you think? My first year was a little shaky. I got off to a slow start. I ended up serving as an officer for our class. You see, as a first-year student, you can't become a captain, which applies to you two. But me, on the other hand, I have the opportunity to claim one of those seats. Then you should be pretty familiar with most of the people here, right? Asked Aiden. Yeah, Ethan added. What can you tell us about the top fighters in this class? Well, there are a lot of fresh faces this year, she said as she looked around, but some familiar ones as well. Okay, those 2 guys over there, to our right, that's Justin McKnight and Tony Spencer. They're both in their second year like me. They were both officers last year. Ethan and Aiden looked at Justin and Tony for a moment. Justin had short golden hair and brown eyes. He wore black pants and a white muscle shirt, which was their class color. Tony had short electric blue hair that hung down on his face and solid black eyes. He wore a long, light gray jacket. You can expect at least one of them to be a captain this time around, Naomi explained. With yours truly filling another seat, of course. Oh, is that so? Came a female's voice. Not as long as I'm here. Oh God, Naomi said in loud annoyance. Here we go. Who is this? Ethan asked as the female approached. This is Alice Gaston, second year student. Alice had long, ice blue hair and light blue eyes. She was very beautiful, just like Naomi. The color of her clothing matched the color of her eyes. She wore a tightly fitted blue shirt that only had one long sleeve. She also had a similar blue-colored garb that she wore around her waist over her white loose-fitting pants. The blue garb only covered the lower right side of her body. So, I hope you've been keeping up with your training during the summer, Naomi, said Alice, because if you want to make captain, I hope you know that you'll have to go through me. Don't think that I'm not prepared to take you on, Naomi replied confidently as she stood with her arms folded, not at all intimidated, if it comes to that. As Naomi and Alice continued conversing, 2 sophomore students, Benny Johns and Rico Salam, who served as officers for their class, walked around the arena floor among the first and second years. Benny had short, dark, spiky hair and solid black eyes. He wore a simple gray shirt under his dark blue officer's vest that had orange accents, It matched well to his dark blue pants and black boots. Rico's attire was a bit more stylish. He wore a yellow button-up long-sleeve shirt under his vest, blue slacks, and brown dress shoes. "Look at all these losers," said Benny. "Not a strong fighter in the bunch." "Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any competition entering this year," Rico replied. "Oh, but there is someone I would like to say hi to." "Hello, Naomi," he said as they walked up behind them. "Been a long time. How was your summer?" "What do you two clowns want?" Naomi asked as she turned her head slightly to look at them. "Still as feisty as ever, I see," replied Rico. "We were just curious to see if you were going to make the rank of captain this year." "Who are these two, Naomi?" asked Ethan. "They're not important," she replied as she waved a dismissive hand in their direction. "Just two idiots I don't have time to waste on." "Watch yourself, Naomi," Benny said calmly as he stepped forward. "You should be honored that we even decided to consider watching any of you today in these preliminaries. Honestly, I find it to be a waste of time for your class to have these matches. You should come under our oversight." Naomi continued with her back to the pair and yawned to show disrespect to them. Her attitude irritated Benny further, so he reached out to grab her. Before he could, Aiden moved up and smacked his hand away. "What's this?" Benny asked, slightly surprised. "Having a first year fight your battles for you?" Benny stared at Aiden for a moment as he stood between him and Naomi. His irritation continued to grow. He didn't appreciate a first-year student trying to make a name for himself. "Stand aside," Benny said casually as he used his left hand to try to push Aiden out of the way. Aiden quickly smacked his hand away again, sharply increasing his energy, and shoved Benny back a few steps. Everyone's conversations quickly died down as all eyes were now on Benny and Aiden. Benny looked a little surprised as he looked at Aiden. "It seems I judged this crowd prematurely," Benny said with a slight grin on his face. "Perhaps there is some talent in this group after all." Benny's grin vanished as he looked at Aiden with the utmost seriousness in his eyes. "You don't realize it yet, but you're going to regret that." Benny smiled again and took a deep breath. Naomi quickly noticed that Benny was about to get serious, but before she could even react to try and assist Aiden, Benny quickly increased his energy and dashed at Aiden so fast that Aiden didn't have time to react to his movements. Benny threw a right hook that had enough speed to connect without Aiden having time to defend himself. Just before he could touch Aiden, another student named Joshua Yoshida used some restraint cables to stop Benny from moving. Joshua was the third officer of the B rank. He had black hair wrapped in a bun standing straight up on his head, black eyes, and the same clothing style as Benny and Rico. The only difference in his appearance compared to the others was that Joshua wore an orange scarf around his neck. Joshua restrained Benny by his arms and shoulders, stopping his attack. Benny's fist stopped inches from Aiden's face. "What are you doing?" Benny asked in frustration as he tried to wiggle free. "Benny, get control of yourself," Joshua said. "This isn't the way an officer of the B rank should be acting. I understand intimidating the underclassmen, but as usual, you go too far." "Don't worry about it, Joshua," Rico said as he dragged Benny away. "We didn't mean to stir things up. We'll be leaving now." "No, wait," Benny yelled as he struggled to get free. "Let me teach this little bastard a lesson." "Not bad work, Aiden," Naomi said, "but I did need your help." "You're welcome," Aiden replied. "Joshua," Naomi said as she walked over to him. "Perfect timing as always." "Naomi, Alice, it's good to see you two," Joshua replied as he stood with both hands clasped behind his back. "I take it you two had an enjoyable summer?" "Yes, it was fine," Naomi replied. "I'm honestly surprised you're—" "All right, enough with the small talk," Alice said as she pushed Naomi aside. "Josh, it is good to see you again. You know, if you'd like, we could have lunch together later to catch up." "I'm terribly sorry, but I'm so busy with my duties," he replied. "Since it's the first day, there's a lot going on as usual. We'll have to reschedule." "I'll hold you to that," Alice replied with a smile on her face. "I'm sure you will," said Joshua. "So Naomi, are these your brothers you told me so much about?" "Yes, this is Ethan and Aiden," said Naomi. "Guys, this is Joshua Yoshida, an officer with the B rank." "Nice to meet you," Ethan said as he reached out to shake his hand. Suddenly, two men appeared between Ethan and Joshua and instantly had blades firmly pressed to Ethan's neck. They both wore masks and had battle armor on from head to toe. "Don't move any closer to the young master, scum," one of them threatened Ethan as he pushed the blade closer to his neck. Ethan stood there completely frozen with his hand still extended, not sure what was happening. "Oh man, not these two again," Naomi said in exasperation. "Joshua, do your personal guards really have to be here today?" "Reese, Milo, that's not necessary," Joshua snapped as he moved over to assist Ethan. "Please, stay back, young master," Reese said. "I've never seen this kid before. He could be an Alliance spy sent here to assassinate you." "You haven't seen him before because it's his first day," Joshua explained as he removed Reese and Milo's blades from Ethan's neck. "They're first years, not spies. Why don't you two go make sure that the perimeter is secure?" "Master, we've secured the perimeter 3 times in the last hour," Reese replied. "I'm starting to think that you keep giving us that assignment to get rid of us." "You caught on to that, huh?" asked Joshua. "Master, we can't afford to leave you unguarded," explained Reese. "You're a member of the royal family of Dronea, and your safety is of the utmost importance." "I'm not in any danger here," he replied. "The only thing I'm in danger of is having a heart attack every time I have to stop you from trying to chop off someone's head for getting too close to me." "My job is to protect you, Master," said Reese with pride. "It is my sworn duty as a servant to the royal family and yeah, Joshua said dismissively as he waved him away and turned his attention back to the others. "Sorry about that," he said to Ethan as he reached out to shake his hand. "They can be a little extreme." "I'll say," Ethan replied as he shook Joshua's hand. "So, what do you two think about the academy so far?" asked Joshua. "You're about to start the testing process. Are you nervous at all?" "Not at all," Aiden replied. "Just ready to get started." "I hope so." I'm sure Naomi explained how everything is supposed to work. I'll be sticking around to watch the preliminaries, and I have no doubt that you two will qualify. Naomi, Alice, always a pleasure catching up, he said as he turned to walk off the floor.